Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cam's rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Hank's Think Tank. It's the weekend, the rainy one, and things are going well. I got Mark Hogan on my left.
Everybody.
Mark, how's it going, man?
Going really well. How you doing?
Pretty good. You have a dry drive in this
It
morning?
was, and hopefully it'll be a dry drive back, so we'll see.
Dry drive is almost hard to
A
say.
little bit, yeah, especially for a guy like me.
Yeah, I got you. All right, today we've got a really interesting guest. We have Dr. Quevarra Moten in. She is the founder of the Moten Way, LLC. She's also a motivational speaker, a speaking coach, which is something I need, an empowerment coach, and finally, but not lastly, an author. Good morning, Quevarra. How you doing?
Good morning. I am doing amazing.
Should I call you Dr. Quevarra or just Quevarra?
Everyone calls me Dr. Q.
Dr. Q?
Dr.
Yes.
Q.
I like it. That's easy, and it's too cool.
Well,
Yes.
she earned it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, you've got a lot going on. There's a lot that I've been seeing on YouTube as well. And so I think what I want to do is kind of pass the ball over to Mark.
Okay.
And Mark can start with the whole grilling and the questions.
The
and all
grilling,
that.
yeah.
The grilling.
Where were you on the night of? I'm interested to know in your origins, your upbringing. You're a Texas native, is that right?
Houston, Texas, born and raised.
Right on. There
Awesome.
you go.
Born and raised. But this is the first time I have lived in Houston as an adult. I have traveled the world. I moved to Austin after college, and then somehow I ended up moving to London, England. And
Wow.
now I am back in America. And I came back to America to be the Deputy Executive Director of the National Alliance of Mental Illness for Central Texas.
Right. I saw that on your
So we
bio.
serviced about 8 counties, and then COVID happened. And as COVID was happening, the assignment had to be laid off, and that's how I ended up back here in
Wow.
Houston.
What a great experience, though.
Yes, it has been a journey, and even the beautiful part about me and NAMI is the full circle piece of it. I actually was a caregiver for my mother for over 14 years, and she was diagnosed later with schizophrenia. But for the first 7 years, I had no idea what she had. And through that journey of not even understanding what it was, me and my brother navigated that hurdle on our own without anything.
Well, let's talk about that a little. What is schizophrenia exactly? I mean, I know a lot of people know that it's a mental illness, but what exactly is it?
It is all mental illness is a chemical imbalance in your mind, your brain. So I think people attribute mental health and physical health as separate, but the truth is that mental health is a physical ailment.
Okay.
And because of that, for her, a lot of the time she saw us as her enemy, or she could hallucinate and think someone was after her.
So it augments your reality.
It creates more anxiety.
Is that kind of like a bipolar diagnosis too, or is that on the spectrum of schizophrenia? Because it sounds very similar.
Schizophrenia is kind of like the mixture of it all. Like you got the extremes of it all. And so navigating that, I had someone tell me, caring for a loved one with mental illness is like riding a roller coaster backwards.
Right on. I can dig it. Yeah, been there.
And so it was almost as if I had to navigate. So in 2009, my mother attacked me, and I had to call the mobile crisis unit. So the sheriff came out, and they arrested my mother because it was an attack, even though I didn't press charges. And they looked at me, and they said, "Miss Moten, the only way that we are going to get your mother help is for you to leave her in jail." And that was...
Well, she had become a danger to you and possibly to herself, right?
Right. And even in that journey, having to leave my mother in jail, and
That's some rough business right there.
that's some rough. But that's how I connected with NAMI. Someone at the courthouse referred me and my brother to NAMI, and they said, you need to call NAMI and see if they can get someone to help you all with your mom's case. They found, and NAMI is the National Alliance of Mental Illness, they found us an attorney who would help us pro bono navigate getting my mother moved from the Williamson County Jail to the state hospital, and then from the state hospital to the San Gabriel Crisis Center, where she was finally diagnosed. But NAMI, I called them in desperation, like, I need help. So once I got mom moved, it took us 6 months to get her moved through that process.
Wow.
And we couldn't bail her out. And so you felt like you failed as a child, like, wow, I'm leaving my mom in jail.
Right.
But I know this was the only way that I could go in order for her to get the help that she needed.
Now, did they have the care that she needed in the particular jail facility that she was at?
No.
Or she was in the general pop?
Well, they put her in the mental health side of it, but she never got what it was that she needed. Now, the jail systems, that was in '09. So since then, we've done a lot of interventions, a lot of advocating, because I'm a mental health advocate. And so we've done a lot of advocate to get some of these things changed and get people trained in how to work with people in the jail systems that are suffering from mental illness, because a lot of times they haven't really committed a crime. The only crime is that the society doesn't understand the journey of what it takes to support our mental health neighbors. And so even when I moved her there, I started volunteering with NAMI, and I volunteered with NAMI and started teaching a class called Family to Family. This class helped me and my brother learn, and it's a free class, and it's offered in every city. You just look up NAMI, but I started teaching the class because it helped me see life through the eyes of my mother, because we were in denial for 7 years. And then when we finally got the help that she needed, we had to understand from her view, what does she see when we say this? What does she feel when we speak this way?
I bet that was a real awakening to see
I felt
all that.
horrible that she had lived that many years without us understanding. And not because we didn't want to, but we didn't even know we weren't understanding. And so I've made it my goal and commitment to share that there's help and there's support for anyone out there that's a caregiver. There's support and resources that you can take and learn for free so that you can help your loved one navigate that journey. Then once I became a board member, I transitioned and took my mental health advocacy overseas to England. And now I'm back.
Does schizophrenia always present itself in a negative way? Because it seems like everybody that I've ever heard of or come into contact with that has it or knows somebody who had it, it always seems to be negative. Like, you know, they attacked me or they cussed me out or they this. And it always seems like it presents itself in a negative way. And so I'm wondering, is that 100% of the cases, or are there some schizophrenics who are just really nice? They're just not completely here. Lights are on, nobody's home.
I think what it is, I want to give you an example. All of us have bad days.
Mark especially.
Some days I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But I think when someone is finally diagnosed with mental health, everyone automatically assumes, oh, this is negative, their response. No, there are triggers for them. So it's important, and this is what we had to understand. How do we understand mom's triggers? And how do we navigate her triggers where we're not pushing her to be angry? Because I could wake up and have a bad day, and someone just says, I have a bad day.
Right.
Someone with schizophrenia wakes up and have a bad day, and everyone's like, oh, this is what this is. Now, true, it's more extreme for them. But once we started to, you know, me and my brother were in denial for so long. But once we dug into understanding how to communicate with her, it's still her choice whether or not she took her meds. And my mother chose not to take her meds. And we respected that.
I hear a lot of that,
Yeah.
for different things too.
Because it makes them feel too tired or too loopy, and there's just not enough research that has been done. I am thankful that research is increasing, but there hasn't been enough research that's been done to help them understand it. But is it a negative thing? Not necessarily. Can they go into crisis? Yes. So it's understanding, how do we know the triggers? And everyone's an individual. So understanding their triggers and having a plan for that. Like, I know loud music is going to stimulate this for her. It's going to make her afraid. Or having her back against the door, I know she needs to be facing where she feels safe. And sometimes I would ask her, Mom, what do you need to feel safe? How can I support you? And we became her partners in her mental health journey versus, let me find some place. Let me find a place to put Mom. Let me find someone to heal this. Because it wasn't that. There were some nights I was afraid for my life in my own home. And that's a difficult space to be in with someone who is your mother. And you don't know what the response is going to be.
Right. Do those triggers sometimes change and evolve?
Yes.
And you may have a surprise trigger come up and have to kind of adapt to a lot of different things?
Yes. And sometimes she would be outside and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm sleeping. You know, there was a journey apart. I was in grad school. And this was the first time I was in grad school. I was kicked out of grad school with 2 classes left to graduate. And I was told that.
Sounds like him in high school.
Yeah. My mom was up in 3 a.m. with the neighbors. And so then my apartments were like, well, we're going to have to evict you if you can't keep your mom in order. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? I'm 20-something years old. What am I going to do? And so I didn't know how to ask for help. And the dean, when they dismissed me from the program, I was at a university, St. Edward's University in Austin. The dean told me to never re-enroll. And I don't think it was the institution's fault. It was my fault because I had been conditioned to believe not to ask for help. A lot of times, and this is not just mental health, this is just navigating. We all come into these situations with these superhero capes on and we got superpowers and we don't ask for help. And that was where I failed at even not only caring for my mother, but caring for myself. I didn't know how to ask for help.
Right. And I think that's a big stigma, even now.
Yes.
Asking for help with mental issues, it's kind of seen as a weakness or
with anything sometimes.
And that's a big one too. People are going to think I'm weird or there's something wrong with me. I'm going to get fired from my job. You know, different things like that. And especially with guys, probably you don't want to ask for help. I can handle everything. Big boys don't cry and all that kind of thing. Hopefully that evolves around to the fact that people seek the help they need and get better, and everybody around them can get better too.
And just knowing that help, just because you ask for help one time, it doesn't mean you're not going to need help later.
Right.
I think I had gotten to a space where I would ask for help, but I didn't know how to go back and ask for help again. So in that journey, now this is where it came to a head. I had my husband at the time left because he couldn't handle the journey with Mom. And I respected that. And then I got dismissed from school. And at that moment, I felt like all of my life had fell apart. And so I attempted to take my own life in that moment. And I think those are the moments where you reach your breaking point where you don't know what's next or what does it look like.
Yeah, rock bottom situation.
Rock bottom. Yeah. And here it is, first person in my family to go to college, first person in my family to pursue a master's, first person, and here it is, I felt like I had failed. Now I got kicked out of grad school, and now that my marriage was over, and now I had Mom, I didn't know, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I had reached my breaking point because I didn't understand the concept of support. And I didn't understand that support was readily available for me, for therapy for myself. And, you know, they always say when you get on a plane, if you ever hit an emergency, you have to put your mask on first.
Right.
Right.
And that is the journey that I had to learn. How do I put my mask on first so I can be completely present for mom?
Yeah.
And how do I let my brother know we have to do something different because this isn't working? I'm crumbling, you know. And so it's just being honest with yourself, being honest with the situation and the circumstances that surround it, and get as much support as you need. Like when you look, I'm looking at both of you, and you're sitting in that chair. You chose to sit in that chair because you were so confident that it was going to support you. And I want to ask not only you and your listeners this question: what does your support look like? And can you sit confidently in it and know that it's going to help you navigate the hurdles you have before you?
What a great question.
I hate it. That's the
Why?
worst question anybody's ever asked me before. Oh my God.
That's because it made you think. And he does not like thinking.
I don't want to answer that. My wife is a great support system for me, for sure. I mean, without her, I'd be done. Yeah, I don't want to go any farther than that. I lead a pretty complicated life because I'm spread out kind of thin. I'm involved in quite a lot in the community, and I find that from time to time that can get really, really, really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a lot that I'm on my own in those instances, and there's really not a support system for that. I don't think there ever really will be, but it's something I try to work through, you know.
I want to give you an example just because what you just said reminded me of my mom. My mom was known in Houston as the bread angel of Houston. So on the weekends, my mother, she was a minister.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom would take us every weekend to feed the homeless.
Cool.
She would go to Kroger's and collect all the day-old bread, and we would go to different shelters delivering the bread.
That's a good heart.
I like it.
And
yeah.
this was and she gave so much of herself away daily, weekly. My mother's mental illness, and they said post-traumatic stress left untreated leads to other things. But I watched my mother give herself to everything in the community. She was a servant. She had a servant heart. She was a giver. And because we too had stayed in a shelter before, she wanted to make sure. So when Christmas came, we took half of our gifts to the shelter. She made us pick out what we wanted to keep, and then we would go to the shelter to share with someone else, because she says, remember, we were here. And so she always wanted to remind me and my brother that we were here and we could be here. So we need to serve others who are at that point. But I saw her give so much of herself away that she never took that time to pour back into her. And when she hit a crisis, Hurricane Allison came in 2002, somewhere like that.
Allison was cool. I remember it. Yeah.
Everything her whole house was underwater. She lost everything.
That's rough for a lot of people. Yeah.
She never bounced back from that. That was a turning point. Hurricane Allison. And
so the house flooded, and she lost not just the house and the furniture, but the memories
car,
and the photographs, and
all of our pictures from childhood are gone. All of her memories, everything she worked for,
right?
Everything she bounced
and I think
back.
You lose a sense of security in that too,
Yes.
and you never get that back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So here it was, a
Here
woman.
today, gone tomorrow. It sucks. Yeah.
Everything, her car, and then she had to depend on her kids, and we took care of her. And so she just never bounced back after Hurricane Allison. And I said all that to say this, is sometimes an event in your life can be so traumatic that if you don't get the support that you need, or if you don't invest in yourself and say, hey, this is gonna be a self day today. I'm going to get a therapist, and I'm going to meet with my therapist weekly. I do meet with my therapist weekly because that's what I need. That's my support. But Mom didn't do that. Because she was brought up ministry, oh, I'm just going to pray about it. How are you doing? Blessed and highly favored. And so we mix support with religion and everything, and we still wind up not finding what it is that we need.
It just internalizes and festers and comes out in different ways, I bet.
Yes.
Well, is your mom still alive?
No.
Okay.
In 2016, my mom, March 30th, she had a heart attack. And I just did a talk with the Houston League of Business and Professional Women last month that talks about the relationship of your physical health with your mental health and how they work together. My mom refused to take support and medicine for her mental health, so her mental health prevented her from taking care of her physical health.
Makes sense.
And so when she had the heart attack, they found that she had stage 4 cancer, ovarian cancer. And so my mother was on a ventilator for a few weeks. We were up to that point where they were going to trach her.
Right.
And she woke up. But that was also the same week I became a doctoral candidate. So everything that I do, there's a reason. The only reason I pursued a doctoral degree was so that I can make more money to take care of her.
Sure.
And so I was like, I had my laptop in the ICU. I was on one side of her bed. My brother was on the other side. And I was sitting there working on my coursework while I was there. I had got a letter that said I had became a doctoral candidate. And I got the letter, and I was so excited. I'm like, Mom, you got to wake up. I got to tell you something. You just have to wake up. I got to tell you something.
You just really wanted to share that with her.
I just wanted to share it. And then right before May 16th is my brother's birthday, she woke up. But she could barely talk. And I said, Mom, we're ready. We're set. We're going to be good now. I said, I just became a doctoral candidate. And my mother looked at me. And she said, Baby, I'm so proud of you. She said, I need to tell you something. I said, what is it? She said, I may not be here to see you finish, but you were destined to be Dr. Moten. And I looked at her and I got mad at her. I was like, what do you mean? You're not going to be here. And so that was in May. Mom gained her wings in June 2016.
A month later.
Yeah. July 2016. July 2016, she gained her wings. July 1st, I had a doctor come and tell us, your mom's cancer was 100% curable, but because of her mental illness, she couldn't get the support and the help that she needed. So they said, you have two choices. She can go through surgery again. They had already done the surgery for the cancer, but she hadn't healed properly yet. So I could not put her through another surgery. And so me and my brother talked to her. And I thought her being in jail and leaving her there was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. But the hardest decision I've ever made in my life was deciding whether or not my mother would go into surgery again or go into hospice. And we loved on her, and we talked to her, and we decided that hospice would be the best option for her to keep her from suffering any more than she already had.
Yeah.
And we walked through that journey with her. I would lay on one side of the bed, my brother on the other side of the bed. Our mother was our baby. People ask me, why don't you have children? Why haven't you started a family or anything? My mom was it. That was my kid. So when I got my hair done, Mom got her hair done. My brother, this was, in men, y'all don't want to go. My brother would go to Lane Bryant and get her undergarments, her everything. He had a Lane Bryant card. It was just for Mom. And we took care of her until that was our baby. And we were honored because even as we were laying her to rest, it was different for both of us because we served our mother until we couldn't serve anymore. But it also taught us now life is just a moment. and you have to take care of yourself.
You know what? She taught you a lot
Yes.
without you even knowing it at the time.
Did not know.
And through extension, you're teaching everybody else.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Get the help you need.
Get the help and the support that you need.
How old was your mom when she passed?
My mom was 59.
Really? Wow. Young.
Yes.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's young.
Yes.
So, wow.
And the doctor, and this was we had her on the list with MD Anderson because we were thinking, okay, we can get her. I think MD Anderson called us a week later and told her it was her turn.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the way it was supposed to go. And I often think a lot of times, this is a mistake that a lot of us make as well. When you're going through different life tragedies and things that happen, especially in the mental health world, you start rethinking, what if I would have done this? Or what if I could have done this?
Right.
You do what you know how to do with the information and the resources you have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to at least tap in to the resources and use that support. And I used to think, oh, what if I'd have started sooner asking for help? Well, now I can take my lesson that I learned and share with each of you that it's important to ask for help now. Don't wait.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you believe in fate?
Faith is the reason I'm still here. Faith is the reason that I have been able to sustain and stabilize my own mental health through it, because guilt will eat you alive. Thinking, what if I'd have done this a different way? Or, maybe if I wasn't so focused on going to school, maybe I could have been more present for her. Or, and so I've had to really think everything is purposeful. There's this verse that says God will use everything for your good. Everything. There is nothing that has happened that will not be used for your good. Everything that I get on stage and I talk about, and I travel all over the world speaking and encouraging people, everything that's coming out of my mouth is from my journey with my faith and how I've had to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
There was no alternative.
Been there, done that.
This is the now. This is what I have to do in order to move forward, in order to keep building.
Mm-hmm.
And so my faith has been my foundation, and that's why, I don't want to go there again in that dark place. But I know my faith brings me back out, because I know I got support, and it's okay not to be okay. A lot of times we think having faith is a badge of honor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to believe it is well. It is well. It's okay to say it's not well right now, but it's going to be.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the Moten Way LLC.
Yes.
So what exactly is that?
The Moten Way LLC is, it came out of my layoff journey. Once I was laid off, I was like, okay, now what am I going to do?
You got to do something.
I got to do something. I need income. And I became a consultant. So I started doing more speaking.
Okay.
I did a talk for Texas Health and Human Services brought me in as a keynote speaker. And I did the power of resilience. And then that talk started taking off, where I got more bookings started coming in for that exact talk.
Great.
And the power of resilience walks through the journey of being resilient with support. And what resilience has nothing to do with how strong you are, or how much you can carry, but your ability and the courage to ask for help. And so I travel around the world as a motivational, inspirational speaker.
Okay.
I also am a life coach and a speech coach. I was on a speech and debate team over several years. And
Cool.
so speaking, Toastmasters, I just love it. I love words. I love being able to communicate and communicate effectively because I love to reach people because I love people. And so when I created the Moten Way, I was thinking, how can you have a business that can help transform lives, even the ones that don't resemble yours? How can you make impact?
It's a great goal. Yeah.
And then I looked at my hand. If you look at your hand, what's different about your hand and my hand?
They're different sizes.
They're different sizes.
Your fingers are longer than mine.
Oh yeah, they are.
Little kids' fingers are longer than mine. That's why I can't play guitar. That's my excuse.
Your fingerprint.
Yeah.
You are the only person.
Palm prints and everything, I think, are different too, not just fingerprints. But
Yes.
Yeah, all the way across. Yeah.
The only person in the world with this fingerprint.
Out of billions of people all over the world.
Billions of people. There is not a single person. And so I looked at it. The Moten Way is going to be intentional about using every individual imprint to make impact. And so the Moten Way is a impact making machine. I take people's imprint, whatever that imprint is, and I help them navigate making an impact on their communities, their families, their lives. So it's a transformational company. It's not just a company. It's a movement with pouring into people and inspiring them to pour into the lives of others.
Cool. I like it. That's great.
Thank you.
So what you got in the future? Anything that's
what's coming up? I mean,
you gonna do a
besides
TED Talk?
Hank's Think Tank.
TED Talk is next on the agenda.
Cool.
TED Talk is definitely next on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I think I am looking within the next year. I am also working. I'm getting an award April 13th.
Really?
Oh, I heard that.
Yes.
My buddy was telling me that it was going to be a big fancy thing coming
Big
up.
fancy
What kind of
thing.
award?
The Houston League of Business and Professional Women. I'm their director of public relations. They're giving me an award, Phenomenal Woman Award. And
Now, is it a trophy, or is it just a plaque on the wall, or is it a
You
cake?
know,
It's $1 million.
I don't know.
$1 million.
It's a cash award.
It's going to be a really nice gala. It's the 60th anniversary. This organization's
Oh,
been
yeah,
around
that's going to be a big deal then.
60
Yeah.
years, red carpet.
Downtown?
So it is Doubletree Hobby
Oh,
Airport.
yeah. Wow.
You need
Cool.
your tuxedos. We are currently trying to raise money for scholarships. So we give a lot of scholarships to students who are transitioning into high school and who are already in college.
Right.
But we do a lot of community.
All that can be found on your website, The
Yes.
Moten Way. Okay.
Yes. And just connecting with me through social media at Dr. Quevarra Speaks, the Moten Way on Facebook. All those details will be there as well.
Okay.
Houston League of Business and Professional Women, and just connect.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds great.
Well, I think you're doing a wonderful thing, and if we get enough people to do wonderful things, we'll have a wonderful country. And that would be nice.
Yes.
I think too many people are, I don't want to say self-centered, but they tend to focus upon the self as opposed to making an extension of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the
Pretty
world
common.
in general and social media in particular tends to throw the bad and the negative and the instant gratification at people, and you get wrapped up in that, and there's not enough love out there.
Yeah.
And I can tell that the doctor here is just full of love.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm sorry you had a tough time, with your upbringing with your mom. I can understand exactly what you went through. But in a way, it's brought you to where you are here now. And where would you be without it,
I'm so thankful for that gift.
Sure. Isn't it weird how a thing like that can turn out to be a gift?
Yes.
Just depends on how you use things that God gives you,
yes.
So you got to find the light in everything, I guess. And that's not always easy to do,
Right.
And he's strategic.
Oh, yeah.
He's very strategic.
Yeah, for sure. Mark, have you ever worn a tuxedo?
Yes, I have.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How many
I used to
times?
wear a tuxedo twice a week for a couple of months.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to tell us
Ask me why.
why?
Because I was a blackjack dealer at several clubs around Houston.
Really?
Yeah, and one of the requirements was you wear a tuxedo.
Wow.
Are you coming to the gala?
I've never worn a
I
tuxedo.
wasn't invited.
You are invited. I'm
My
inviting
tuxedo
both
does
of
not
you.
fit anymore. I promise you that.
I've never worn a tuxedo.
Really?
Never. Yeah, never.
You should do a show from there
That'd be cool.
at the hotel. Yes.
And
Yeah.
when is that?
It is April 13th, and there's a reception that starts at 4:45. There is.
I wonder if they'd let us do a show there.
We will let you do a show there.
Well, all right.
We,
then.
we have press credentials, right?
Yes.
But we still have to wear a tuxedo.
You need to wear a tuxedo.
I don't have a tuxedo.
Do we get the hat with the little press?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be the best part.
I'd go with that. As long as it fits.
April 13th, huh?
April 13th, and does your wife have a ball gown? And you just
She has a ball cap. I don't know if she has a ball gown.
there's gonna be live band there. There's a 19-piece band that's gonna be there.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a lot
Horns
of
and
musicians,
everything.
Yeah.
horns. It's going to
Wow.
be. We're gonna dance. Now we'll do some award stuff, and then we're gonna dance and have a good time.
Well, I fired my wife, but I got the coolest dog you ever met. And he's got a little bow tie that I could put on.
Kind of a tuxedo.
We'll figure something out.
All right. Well, Dr. Quevarra, this was a good conversation, and I respect what you're doing. And I'm definitely gonna stay in touch and watch the things that you do and see how things work out.
Most definitely.
And especially the TED Talk. So if the TED Talk comes up, we're going to do what we can to promote that as well.
Oh, thank you.
So for Mark Hogan, I'm Hank Vatt. This is Hank's Think Tank, and we'll see you in the next one.